A group of Fijian workers who've been paid little to nothing to pick fruit in Australia has been told by the government to return to work or leave the country. They could be sent home even though the Fair Work Ombudsman is investigating allegations of low pay and poor conditions. Social Affairs correspondent Norman Mont reports.
It's been nearly a month since these workers from Fiji quit working for an Australian contractor over allegations of exploitation. On this day, they'd have to wait a little bit longer to hear from Australia's government.
There was no understanding by the department or the Australian government that the AWU would be attending the meeting or that media would be present.
Despite your opinion about this being a private meeting, I represent these people's industrial interests and I have a right to be there.
The Australian Workers' Union stepped in after the ABC reported last month many of the Fijian seasonal workers were receiving little or no net pay, some earning less than $10 a week after deductions to pick fruit and vegetables. Back in Cobram, in northern Victoria, the meeting with the workers eventually started. The union stayed. The ABC was asked to leave. When it was over, the government officials here weren't talking.
Did you address any of the issues they've been having with the contractor?
In fact, those allegations are being investigated by a separate agency, the Fair Work Ombudsman. At this meeting, the Fijians were given a choice: return to work for their visa sponsor, AFS Contracting, or leave Australia.
They're pushing us to go back home, like every one of us is not happy. And we're going back home with nothing.
To make things worse, many of these workers will return home to villages devastated by the recent cyclone in Fiji. The ABC tried repeatedly to contact Tony Yamanko, the owner of AFS Contracting.
We just want to talk to Tony. Do you know where he is?
Tony Yamanko may not want to talk about the pay and conditions of Fijian seasonal workers, but the country's Minister for Employment does.
We've asked our counterparts in Australia to have a look at the conditions and all the complaints that have been raised by our seasonal workers, and then they will come back to us, and that is the discussions that we are having at the moment.
The Australian government says it is talking to Fiji about these allegations, but it won't say when these seasonal workers will have to leave or when their grievances over pay and conditions will be resolved. Norman Hermont, ABC News, Cobram, Victoria.